Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Funhaus.
What a roaring episode this will be.
This episode is brought to you by Hims. We're having a very heated debate. James almost punched Don right before we started rolling.
Ducked. Close. Missed. Hit a wall.
And
Holy crap.
Cat instincts.
Don, thank you for coming out of your shelter.
Your hiatus.
Yeah.
On-screen hiatus.
You haven't been in a video in a long time.
That's true. Thanks for having me. And this won't be the last time, as we know. Part 3 is confirmed.
Is that a threat?
Want to pull that mic closer to your face?
Sure.
We want to hear all the things you have to say about dinosaurs.
I'm going to start yelling.
Okay.
Please don't.
What are we talking about today?
So we're talking about Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, the 5th film in the Jurassic World franchise. Number 1 film, if you're ranking them chronologically, reverse chronology. And, this is a very special film because it has Chris Pratt. Right, James?
What
Yeah,
movie?
but the other one did too.
Yeah, all movies have Chris Pratt in it now.
So, first thing I want to talk about is what kind of expectations did we have going into this? Because I saw this film with Adam and James, and let me tell you, they were talking shit before the trailers
That's
even
not
started.
true.
You
I
said,
mean, yeah,
let's
it
go
was.
watch this trash film.
I'll put it out there. I'll preface by saying I hated Jurassic World.
Oh my gosh.
I hate it. I hated it.
I was
God.
indifferent towards it. I didn't think it needed to exist, but I'm glad it's there for people who want to enjoy it.
I loved it. I was blown away.
So we got all sorts of people in the front,
the
back,
spectrum
and
is
middle.
here.
Yep, it's a full
Yeah.
spectrum.
So, of course, going into Fallen Kingdom, I probably only saw it because you asked me if I would be willing to come on the podcast and discuss it, knowing that I had such vitriol for the first one.
Yes, and because at this most recent staff lunch, you again tried to punch Don for Don saying how much he liked the films.
The
Spun out of that one.
table was wide though,
Yeah.
and he's too quick. So
Yeah,
I just
and you
one
got
of these days
short
I'm going to
arms.
catch you.
We've established long ago, which we thought was a joke, but it's true. Don is a psychopath, and I'm sorry, sociopath.
Oh,
And
thank you.
we'll watch a movie multiple times, no matter what. And you saw Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom how many times?
3 times. And I might add, this is a perfect example of why I see movies multiple times before judging them. My opinion of the movie improved dramatically. The first viewing, I was like 60-40, positive to negative. By the time the last viewing was done, 95-5.
How much?
Wow.
How much would you say central air conditioning had to do with that decision-making process?
That's the first 15 of points. Yeah. Nachos,
Okay, hold on.
the
So
nachos,
just-
the red vines, all
I want
of that.
to clear something up from what you're saying. The first time you saw it, you weren't too hot on it, but
well,
the
you're
more
still
you
60-40.
Yeah.
Okay, but I guess is that good in your book?
That's
No,
a
I
D-minus.
felt like 60% positive, but I
Oh.
felt there were a lot of areas, like I had certain things about it that bugged me. I thought it was like anticlimactic. I thought it had weird, like multiple vibes that as the movie went on, things like that. Just things that bothered me that upon, viewing it again, didn't bother me nearly
Okay.
as much. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I want to live in your world where you can find enjoyment in these things, and that was sort of my struggle in coming on this podcast today, was because I don't want to shit on your parade.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't want to say you're a bad person because you like a certain thing. That is not my place. But man, I was angry when I walked out of this movie. I don't know. We'll talk about it more
It's
next
kind of like, have you ever heard the thing? People with depression handle traumatic situations or like disasters very well because they live in a perpetual state of disaster. I watched Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and I wasn't as angry as Adam coming out of the theaters because I was already living in that from the first movie, right? So this was just like, well, of course, I would feel I wouldn't like it because it's Jurassic World. So it was interesting, kind of the switcheroo there.
I went in with no expectations, and I still came out disappointed.
Well, it sounded like you went in expecting to dislike it, but you disliked it even more than you expected.
Yeah, I was sort of surprised at the sheer stupidity of it, and sort of the the wasted potential. But funny enough, I called the ending weeks ago.
Well, they give away the ending in the trailer.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Like, literally,
Big time.
the monologue that Jeff Goldblum says
Right.
is the end of the movie, and that's in the
Welcome to
trailer.
Jurassic
Not
World.
just that,
Yeah.
but 2 of the shots that were featured prominently in the marketing were literally 2 of the final shots in the movie too.
Yeah.
Which was my
that's true,
greatest.
yeah.
That was my greatest worry, I would say, going into the movie. My biggest fear of what I might not like was I hope it really felt like they showed too much in the trailers, and I was hoping that somehow everything they showed in the trailers was only going to be the first half, and
Which it is. I feel like for a lot of it is.
I felt like
For
they
the
showed it
first
all.
trailer, because I watched the final trailer while making... Oh, this fucking playlist isn't playing. While making this playlist, the video playlist, I watched the final trailer, and I decided not to include it in this so that it wouldn't spoil so much for people, because
But everyone's seen it. It made $1 billion.
the first trailer only shows the stuff at the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The island that is
First
exploding.
Yeah.
trailer was perfect. They didn't
Yeah,
need to do
first-
anything
yeah.
beyond that.
I agree,
Um,
Don. 110%. I agree. And we had this discussion at lunch where I was like, have you seen the second trailer? And you said, no.
Right.
And I said, thank God, because it spoils the whole movie.
But I did see, which I realize now because I have watched all the trailers, I saw a TV spot which showed a lot of the stuff from I didn't realize, it was like not a trailer, it was some weird, I think it was during some sports I was watching where it just like played a little promo interlude thing.
what is studio's
But
fascination with this?
I actually have a theory. I've thought about it, and in a way, I was trying to figure out like, well, why did they show so much? And I kind of have a theory of why they did. I think because of the fact that the movie did have such different tones as it went on, and it was going to try some sort of different things. In a way, I thought they wanted to prepare the audience for that by sort of giving them a little taste so that it's not as shocking when you actually see it. And by that, I mainly mean the darker tone of the second half of the movie, but maybe we don't want to get there yet.
I was going to say, how do you want to discuss this? Do you want to prevent spoilers, or what do you want to do?
I did forget to read my intro paragraph
Oh.
that I
for it.
wrote out. Well,
Do it
I mean,
now.
it's too late now.
No, it's never too late.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we can just put this at the beginning, or you guys can just hear it now.
Look at this.
yeah, they do that
yeah.
2 times.
This podcast will begin spoiler-free, and we will very clearly announce when the spoilers will begin, so feel free to listen, even if you haven't seen the film yet. And you will want to stick around for at least a while, because I actually landed an interview with Jurassic World actor B.D. Wong.
Wow.
So stay tuned for that later in the episode.
I don't know how true that is.
Looking forward
What?
to
I
it.
bet he did.
Yeah,
I bet he did.
B.D. Wong.
Okay.
He's on Twitter.
What is BD Wong doing?
Mr. Robot season 4.
Oh,
Can't wait. Love you, BD.
So I'm just curious, just because to get you before Jurassic World even came out.
Yes.
You've been a fan of Jurassic Park
Yeah.
for forever, right?
Yes, yes.
You've gone to Hawaii on Jurassic Park tours.
Yes, yes.
You love Jurassic Park.
Yes.
And are you also like really into dinosaurs, or like?
I was when I was a little kid. Obviously, you know, I'm really not for most of my adult life, but I was really into movies, dinosaurs as a little kid, and also Jurassic Park was, I think, if not the first movie I saw in a theater when I was a little kid. So that was
There's some
history
super
there.
special,
Yeah, yeah.
nostalgic thing.
How old
yeah.
are you?
I can't reveal that. I'm not.
Because there's
Somewhere
there's-
between the age of 14 and 85.
exactly. So there's a certain aspect of, there's movies, franchises that people are like can do no wrong in their eyes.
Well, before I saw any of the marketing for Jurassic World, before anything, when I knew they were making it, I was like, obviously, like all franchises they bring back. I mean, I had a lot of concern, because I was like, this is going to be one of the hardest movies. It wasn't really, you knew it wasn't a reboot, but period, just with the amount of time that passed, with the size, the cult following, the massive, just like all the baggage that series had, and the giant gap of time. Not just that, but how it, somewhat maybe declined over the sequels and stuff like that. You didn't know what part 4, I was expecting it to be like possibly a disaster. I didn't know if it'd be good.
Is that how you feel? Do you share the public opinion that Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 did not live up to the original?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if I ranked them all, Lost World would be last and part 3 would be 4th. Yeah. So.
Okay. So it would be Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Fallen, or
I'm gonna
Jurassic
say, I'm
Fallen
gonna say
Kingdom.
something controversial here.
You're going Jurassic. Oh,
I'm gonna say something very
are
controversial.
you gonna say Fallen
here.
Kingdom over Jurassic Park?
No, I'm not gonna say that, but this is still equally almost controversial. Given historical context, I would put Jurassic World in front of Jurassic Park. World, Park, Kingdom. And that's a whole other episode of how I define
Wow.
things.
I am not here to judge, but you, the audience,
It's
think
important. It's important.
No, but that's including historical context. If you take away context of the times and everything like that and just put them film by film, obviously,
Okay, so
Park is
if I
better.
were to take a dumb, stupid baby and set him in front of
don't
it,
do that.
Yeah, and I sit in front and go, "Here you go, little one. It's a movie about dinosaurs." And I showed them Jurassic World, and they went, "Wow!" And then years later, there's another one called Jurassic Park, and they watch that and they go, "I like the original one better."
Yes, I agree. I would think most people that never saw the first one first, that don't just outright hate the movie, if they like both movies, I think most people that see World first may like it more. Yeah.
So here's something, because this is again, we will at some point talk about Fallen Kingdom, but I'll say this to your point. When you go back and watch Jurassic Park,
yeah.
it is interesting.
Yes.
It's very interesting to watch. I think part of the mastery, I think the reason it's one of the greats of Steven Spielberg's resume is because he's a magician, right? So when you're watching it, you are totally there with the characters. Jurassic Park is a movie about people going to a park and being like, holy shit, dinosaurs. But it's also a movie about you going to a theater and going, holy shit, dinosaurs, right? And it's amazing, but there's a lot of shit that people have pointed out over the years that doesn't make any fucking sense in Jurassic Park. The cliff that appears out of nowhere, right? A lot of the actions that characters take, there's not really a climax of the film. It's like mostly just running, and then at some point
It's strangely paced, but it works.
non-character intervention, the world changes. It like almost resolves itself. But again, Indiana Jones is similar to that pattern as well. There's a lot. One of my favorite things is the helicopter comes down to land at the archaeological dig, or the paleontology dig, or whatever, and then they run over to the helicopter and they're like, "You can't be here." And then the helicopter pilot points to their trailer, which means that John Hammond was already in their trailer, and he just called a helicopter pilot to land next to the dig site to tell them that he was in the trailer.
Sure.
Like, these things don't make any sense.
Oh wait, was that the case? I mean,
They watch it
I
come
may be
in
wrong,
and
but
land.
I thought it landed and they were running down the hill to see what was going on, and in that time he made his way to the trailer.
I'd have
There's
to
watch
really
it again.
not.
You may be right.
But,
It's
but
unclear.
that's the thing. You're watching it and you're
It
like,
never stood out.
You're
yeah.
watching it and you're like, helicopter, this, that. But it's because Steven Spielberg is doing David Blaine magic.
Yes,
He's taking
yes,
your
yes.
watch while he's doing a card trick over here.
Like even
right?
it's to the point of that the cliff thing doesn't even though it's been pointed out, it still doesn't bother me when I watch it.
I will say that Jurassic World as a movie doesn't have those tricks in it. It's just it. If you watch it, you're like, okay, these series of events, they follow each other, and there's no wild continuity or things that don't make sense. But I also think that that's like saying a magic trick isn't good after you know how it's done. You know,
I guess the argument is actually you can make the argument for both movies that they're both doing things to convenient the movie, to make the movie more convenient, right? We have to get from point A to point B, so they fall off a cliff. But they're like, but that doesn't really work in the context. Yes, but our set is this big.
and it's so exciting.
Yeah.
that you will be glad that the cliff was there. right?
Whereas Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom does a lot of things only, like, I feel like it does things that a horror movie does, which is either lazy writing or just this guy needs to get eaten, so this thing needs to happen. And that I feel like is more apparent because it is not the exciting magic trick that Steven Spielberg is pulling out or another competent director. And they're just saying, people just want to see dinosaurs eat people, so we're going to get to that point. Fast forward.
But then every single time it seems like it's about to go buck wild, we're gonna slow it down and then we're gonna try and justify it again. But then Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom felt like when someone is lying to you, and you're like, just be honest with me. And then we'll get to the heart of it. And then they lie about that lie, and then it becomes another lie and another lie until it's this big web of lies that's way more complex than if they had just told the bad truth from the start.
I didn't get the sense, in only for a couple of moments. The one moment in World where I would agree with you, it felt like a lie was, and it also felt like they were just, creating something false to solve a problem, is when who was it? D'Onofrio gets eaten in the lab by the raptor when it just comes out of nowhere in the lab. That whole moment was like completely false, and it still stands out as being awkward. But I don't know. The rest of it didn't seem that contrived to me. I mean, other than, you know, in the new one, it is a horror in terms of like dinosaurs several times come out of nowhere and like pop into the screen.
But when there's things, so this is actually another reason why I feel like your argument for why the original Jurassic World is better than Jurassic Park. The big moment when they go, this chameleon dinosaur is killing everyone. What do we do? Release the T-Rex from the first film. And then everyone goes, oh my God, it's like a cameo. Doesn't that have more impact because of the impact, the cultural impact behind it? Because you know that character from the original.
It had a lot to do with it, but that's why it's such a great sequel, I thought, because it did things like that effectively. It took things from the past and it brought them in and used them. I mean, from the way they visit the old rundown visitor center, like so many different moments. I thought World did such a nice job of like paying great homage to what the series was, what the franchise was, but also doing things like that, bringing the T-Rex back almost as a hero character in the climax was like,
he's a hero.
Loved it.
He's a hero. Now he is. 2 movies forward.
The things that bothered me most about Jurassic World were the perfect example of it is the kids. I mean, I hated everything about them, but like the kids served a purpose in Jurassic Park for Dr. Grant. You weren't supposed to necessarily like the kids, but they were a vehicle for his change, right? But Jurassic World, there's a moment where they're wandering through the jungle, and then they come across a car, the old Jeep, right, which is a cool, fun moment. And then one of the kids says, "Come on, let's do it. It's just like when we used to work on Grandpa's old Chevy Malibu or some whatever, right?"
Yes.
And then it shows them put a battery in it and then drive off, and I'm like, that's not. Why did they feel like they needed to explain that? And to me, it felt so strange. It's like no one could. It's a world with dinosaurs, but no one could possibly believe that these kids know how to put a battery in a car.
I mean, it was one line of dialogue, and I think if it wasn't there would be. Since you're dealing with kids, whatever. A lot of kids nowadays, don't have any interaction with fixing an automobile, even the most basic thing like changing a battery. It's literally one line. They didn't take any time to explain it. They gave you one quick line to be like, these kids have the experience to do this. Simple task.
Yeah, but to me it seemed like they were like, we need to get these kids in the car, and we can't justify them driving away in a car, even though it's a world where dinosaurs exist. And those are like the things that there's a moment in Fallen Kingdom, which when we get to spoilers we can talk about, where I'm like, why did he say that? Is it just because they didn't feel like it was reasonable that you could get to this point even though dinosaurs exist? I think that's my big thing. I'm like, dinosaurs exist.
Yeah.
We use science to bring them back. We have an amusement park for them. Why do you feel like you need to say something to get to that point unless you were writing the script and you were just like shitting it out? Those are the things that jarred me so much. Go ahead.
Speaking of spoilers,
Okay.
We're about to start those, but before we do, I really want you guys to watch this interview I got with BD Wong. So let's throw over to that real quick. All right, so it looks like BD Wong stiffed me. So I have Lawrence here with me today.
Yeah, BD Wong gave me a call, said he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Said, buddy, Lawrence, I need you. This is BD Wong, your friend, your good friend. I said, BD, anything for you, old pal. So here I am.
What does the BD stand for?
Brian Dennehy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. And we're going to talk about hymns.
Yes, we are.
You used it.
I do. Oh, I'm using it now. Yeah.
Oh, you're currently using it.
I am currently a user of hymns. Yes, that's true.
Cool.
And probably will be till I die. That's kind of how it works, which I could see how that might rub somebody the wrong way, but there's, it's been medically tested and there's journals and all sorts of stuff.
And it's preventative. You're preventing hair loss.
It's a bit of both, yeah. So they prescribed finasteride, which is the generic equivalent of Propecia, which also helps with, I think, what's the thing in the butt? Prostate cancer.
Oh.
Helps with that, or something like that.
All right.
I should
cool.
look that up.
So it's a
I did my
added
research,
benefit.
as you can tell. But yeah, so essentially the way it works is, it's preventative but also restorative. It's a little bit of both. So it may help regrow. It is proven to help prevent hair loss. So I noticed some thinning already. I hit big 34, and that's when I started to look out for certain signs. So I kind of half couldn't tell if it was my own paranoia or if my hairline actually was thinning out. But yeah, I filled out, there's like a questionnaire you fill out about what you think you need. Then you have to take some photos of your hairline from various angles. They'll send that to a doctor. The doctor will review your case. And then it seems more often than not, if you have anything hair, the doctor will prescribe you the medicine. Then it comes in a little kit with dosage instructions and all that sort of stuff. There's actually multiple different kinds of medicine they can prescribe based on the hair loss you have. So there's like hairline thinning, and then there's bald spot like on the top, and that's like a topical thing. I'm not getting that. So they're only sending me the medicine I need. And then, yeah, I just take one a day, and I'll do that for the rest of my life to keep all this beautiful stuff right where it is.
Nice. Your hair does look good.
Thank you. I've been conditioning.
They actually sent us some photos. We'll throw those up right now of four Hims users. Our listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, right now, while supplies last. See website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to forhims.com/filmhouse. That's FORHIMS.com/filmhouse. As Lawrence told you, it'll help prevent his hair from falling out until the day he dies. So if you want to keep your hair, reach out to Hims. All right, welcome back to the very spoilery return of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
I feel bad because I
Scary
feel
as
like we
hell.
didn't really even discuss Fallen Kingdom in the non-spoilery version of Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, I
That's
feel the
fine.
same way.
Indoraptor.
Indoraptor.
Sure. Where to begin? Man, oh man. They were sure in a rush to get the first half of the movie out of the way. That's what that felt
Well,
like.
I was glad. I mean, this is one of the things that I liked. Honestly, I'm probably gonna say that Fallen Kingdom, I may be more likely to watch again than Jurassic World.
Okay,
I'm gonna say that.
That's fair.
I'm gonna say that because I felt Jurassic World made it seem like it thought I was dumb because of those little lines like that. Like I was like, no, I don't. Why are you explaining this to me? I don't care. Just give it to me.
Why double down on insufferable characters?
Fallen Kingdom, I didn't think that was one of the best things about Fallen Kingdom.
What?
Is it had Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard
They're fine, sure.
doing they were, 80% of that movie
Let's
is
talk
them.
about Hacker Kid and Tattoo Girl.
Yeah.
And Little Girl. And James Cromwell. And Bad Guy with twirly mustache.
Certain things feel like these are leftovers from a different, like from a previous draft of the script that they didn't want to get rid of, but they kept in. But Don, you tell me your perspective.
To me, those elements felt not that they were left in or they were left over too far. To me, it felt like they had some demand from the studio initially of like, this is a huge success. We need the next one by 2018 at this time. That means you have however many months to write the script. That those bad lines of dialogue, or like characters that are maybe not whatever you could say are a little cliche and this and that, oftentimes I think are a result of the script writing process was probably really condensed. And considering how condensed it probably was, they did like a remarkable job, I thought. Like those characters, Hacker Kid bugged the heck out of me the first time I saw it, and when I saw it again and again, he didn't bug me that much, even though a couple of his lines still are just like, they're real cliche, this and that. But it's like, look, they have so little time to develop so many different characters, kind of give you a hint of who they are, this and that. It was nothing as egregious as Lost World, for instance, who basically all the characters are as cliched and obnoxious as those tiny moments, except through the whole movie. Those were moments, like literally just his introduction and a couple little scenes. It got better as it went. I felt with those characters.
I think that's totally true. I completely agree with that. I think maybe a difference for me is that in Lost World, they're barely developed, so that way they can be killed off one at a time.
But they're through the whole movie. You have to watch Vince Vaughn and
listen. I'm not going to try and defend Lost World.
I guess as the movies have progressed, it feels like they are paying attention less and less to the original movie and sort of what made it good. So you spend a lot of time with Muldoon, right? A pretty cool character. And it's actually a big surprise when a Velociraptor gets him.
Yeah.
And he sort of has that moment of like, you got my respect. Good job.
It's also they set it up.
Yeah.
They're like, he has a relationship with this particular beast in the thing. He's the guy that they trust to do it, right? He's the one that they trust. and it's delicious irony for the audience that
Yes.
it would be his undoing, right? But even self-sacrificial or whatever. But like that's perfect. That to me is a very gratifying moment. Just having a guy there who knows how to use computers, so that way he can hack computers, seems less effective. It didn't seem like. Also, I didn't even realize necessarily that he was a hacker, despite how verbose they are.
Yeah.
With everyone, all those there's 2 supplemental characters. So, because at the beginning of the movie, Bryce Dallas Howard, she runs a nonprofit organization
They gotta save the dinosaurs.
to try and save the dinosaurs because the island they're on is going to blow up and it's going to kill them all.
Yeah.
They never really discuss the fact that dinosaurs have been extinct before,
They
and
do.
you just use science to bring them back.
Well, the initial scene with Jeff Goldblum kind of did that.
Yeah, but she gets on the phone with a congressperson so she can say, could you imagine your daughter growing up in a world without dinosaurs?
Right.
But it's like, she did. And
Right,
then
but-
the labs brought him back.
But that's what she said. That's why, though, these adults can identify with that. These adults lived in a world where this magical thing was created, right? But she's trying to say, look, your kids live in this magical world we created. You want to get rid of that and not have that magic here anymore, like how it was when we were younger. I think that's what she was.
I guess I don't understand why this island blowing up means no more dinosaurs.
Because the only dinosaurs that exist are on that island.
Except in the briefcase filled with blood. There are other points.
Well, no
in
one
the
knew
movie.
that. No one knew that any of that had been retained. B.D. Wong's hiding in a little basement laboratory.
Yeah,
No
as
one
far
knows
as
that, like,
everyone
the
knows.
DNA and
No,
the
but
genetic
the
modifications.
concept from which the original Jurassic Park was
Oh,
made.
Jack!
But it's already been made elite. Like it's obviously like they're not gonna, because of the incident from the earlier Jurassic Parks, they're not going to legally recreate more dinosaurs. These ones only exist because they're holdovers from that.
Sure, can
So
we-
these are the last ones. So
Unless they decide to make more.
but they're not. It's already
Yeah,
been established that was a mistake.
But
Okay,
unless they
then-
decide to make more.
This is one logical discussion we can have. What about the other ones? What about the laser gun?
So that's another thing too. It's like they were like, we need to come up. They have beats. I see the script and I see beats, and they're like, we need this moment. What's terrifying? I personally hated the idea of weaponizing dinosaurs from Jurassic World. I was like, really? That like, what
Well,
about?
that's from Jurassic Park.
Sorry, what?
That's in the book Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about the
No,
movies.
but the
Okay.
concept of weaponizing dinosaurs is insane to me in a world where drone strikes exist.
Yeah.
But still,
No, just think, James, real fast. We're talking about battlefield situations. If you have creatures like that, it'd be the equivalent of being able to have, an 20 cheetahs, just like the same way canines are used
Then
in
train
war
cheetahs.
and police. No, but that's what they're saying. So they don't have that kind of mastery over the cheetah like they can get with these smarter
With
reptiles.
the
But-
Indoraptor.
but wars aren't fought that way anymore.
No, but a portion of them are. They use canine dogs right now. The military and police forces use canine dogs. It'd be a very similar thing to that, except it's a raptor. You're like, holy smokes, one raptor can take out 50 human soldiers.
it honestly-
possibly.
I honestly
It's not
think
a little
send them
kid.
into.
It
you know,
feels
the
like a vanity thing.
it seems like the movie has decided that, and it's fine. But then the movie goes on to justify that, which is okay.
Sure.
But then I just think there's small things that could have been tweaked to make it seem like someone raised their hand and said, we can do better. For a perfect example, the Indoraptor, which is supposed to be the ultimate killing machine, it's been genetically bred to kill on command as long as it has a raptor mom that can help you train it. But the example that they use is there's an auction and it comes out in a cage, and then a man with a gun turns on the laser on
Not
the
a
gun.
laser gun, a gun.
A man with an actual gun points the laser on the end of a gun at a guy because the Indoraptor is genetically programmed to kill whatever the laser points at when it hears a noise.
Yes.
Except if you're ever in a situation where you could point a gun at someone, all you have to do is pull the trigger, and they're dead. Why would you want to introduce an Indoraptor to the equation?
Because that's not the application. They're giving in that sense, the auction, he was doing something spectacular, audience participation to shock those people. On a battlefield, you wouldn't point it at an individual person. You may point it into the entrance of a cave that you know are a bunch of people are hiding inside of. You may point it to vehicles, a town, wherever you want the thing to strike. The same way you give a dog a scent and, it's going to go track down that scent, you're sending an acoustic signal of where you want to direct the creature.
And it doesn't have to be attached to a gun. It could be...
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's a weird movie where they should have just had a guy in the movie with a laser pointer.
Yeah.
I was like, they're pointing a gun at someone. You don't need to tell me what the killing machine in the room is.
They're trying to get the bidding up. They got to do something.
I was like, they should have. That one moment could have been so easy to resolve with them just going like, here's a laser pointer, and then you wouldn't think, oh wait, lasers are on the ends of guns. Guns kill people too. Those are pretty efficient at what they do.
Okay.
Like if it was a laser pointer, then it would be like, okay,
yeah,
it's a laser pointer. You can point it at stuff.
The equivalent would be like, I've invented a self-driving car for you.
Yeah.
But first you need to walk to where the destination is and come back, and then the car will take you there. It's like you already have the solution in your hand, which is a gun.
I see what Don is saying.
I know what you're saying, but it's just like no one. This is the part where no one on the production team went, sir.
Well,
I have a question.
I still hold by the fact that it's like, okay, well, you can point a laser pointer at a building and it'll go in the building and kill everyone there.
But will it run in there and go?
I think you can also get on an iPad and go
like the same way a dog is. If you send the police let a dog into the house and it runs after and catches and pins down the person, the raptor is going to be trained probably in a more lethal manner.
I feel like
it's meant to literally just kill everything. So like once it got out of that cage, it literally killed every human.
The laser pointer didn't do anything.
Well, it's a prototype.
It was basically
the creature's a prototype.
It was basically a nuke, but less efficient. That's
What?
how it felt. You unleash this and it'll kill a whole town. And I'm like,
maybe
yeah, over the course of 2 weeks.
What if it gets full?
When the training is complete, you assume that it would be able to somehow determine what it's taking out. And
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
gets-
things in that movie. Another good example is, again, back to the hacker kid.
Yeah.
The one moment which I think is one of the weaker parts is when Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are separated, because I think they have great chemistry together.
Yeah.
I think Chris Pratt can save anything.
Yeah.
So she's locked in this room because the military betrayed her, obviously.
Yeah.
And she's locked in this room, and then the hacker is like, I can unlock the doors.
Yeah.
And so he unlocks the wrong door. He unlocks the door at the end of a pipe where there was a dinosaur on the other end, and so a dinosaur comes in through this pipe, and they're like, fuck, we got to get out of here. So they climb up through the roof.
Yeah.
Why do you unlock the doors?
Well,
Go up through the roof.
That was a series of things that happened. I mean, he made a mistake. He's under a massive amount of pressure. That's a stressful situation, whatever happened. The silliest part for that moment to me was just like, he was like, where does that lead? Oh, the tube leads to the rest of the park. You're like, well, what is this little, it was a weird facility they're in.
In the middle of a mountain. I
feel-
just think it's weird to assume that these characters, we're trapped. Don't look for the ladder that's directly behind them that leads to the roof.
The tone, I believe,
Well, they
was
knew it
set.
was locked, maybe. I don't know.
It wasn't, though.
The tone is set in the first 10 minutes of the movie when there's a guy working on the island and there's a helicopter guy's going, get out of there. You go, what? What? Is there something behind me? I can't hear you.
There's literally
I'm working.
3 dudes going, no.
Come on. And he's like, what could possibly be
huh?
on this island full of dinosaurs? And then he's like, oh no, I hope it doesn't. It's just like, okay, I get it. The movie's stupid.
That's one of the moments that the first time I saw it, I was like, well, this is kind of dumb. Why isn't... And then upon seeing it again, my feelings changed because I realized, look, this guy is cut off from all radio communication. They're trying to get out of there because of the storm. As far as he looks, he's trying to close the gate and get the submersible up. When he looks back at the helicopter, just because he sees everyone signaling him visually, doesn't mean he understands, oh, there's some imminent threat right behind me. He's thinking, these guys are all saying, get on the damn chopper so we can get out of this storm, this weather and all that, and he's trying to, can't communicate to them that I haven't done this.
I get it. I just think as an audience, I'm sure 90% of people didn't care at all. But like, if you watch a lot of stuff, the whole like, huh, is like
no,
such.
that
like,
was exaggerated.
It's such an archetypal moment, and I think part of it is it feels like sometimes the movie lies to you. Like I think Jurassic Park like tricks you to look the other way when it does deception. This movie felt more like just like a bad lie, where like even in the opening they come in, there's a cool sequence where they go in the submarine and they're underwater,
awesome.
and then some guy's really scared. you're like, why would you? This sounds like a fucking terrible idea. There's clearly a gate there to do something. And the guy goes, it's fine. Everything will be dead by now. And I'm like, why? What logic? It's an island. Why would everything be dead by now?
I loved it. I loved that line because that just made me think of it was the feeling you get in Aliens and all these different, that was just like, to me, a line, just that moment has been recreated in so many movies throughout time when people are in a dangerous situation and someone says something like that, which is obviously not true. And like, but I don't know.
To me, it felt like them, like, to me, it's less effective as an audience goer for you to say, it's fine. Mm-hmm. And then it's not fine, right? Because that just seems like I know it's fine. They go, I know it's fine, and it's not fine. Seems like that's a lie. It's different with Jurassic Park, where it's like, it's the cables work good as long as the power doesn't go out, and then the power goes out, and you're like, fuck, the cables. Like, to me, there's like that logical step there.
But that character was probably lying. It wasn't the movie lying. That character was probably lying to the guy, saying, don't worry, anything's dead down here. He might have not fully believed that, but that's who he is in that position.
But he's a character in the movie written by the people who are making the movie, so in a sense, I felt lied to.
It's a symptom of a bigger issue of, I think, where Jurassic Worlds and parks are moving towards, where dinosaurs are just always hungry. And there's a moment in the movie where the volcano's blowing up and all the dinosaurs are going, shit, let's go, everything's blowing, food. And then they stop in the middle of what they're doing to hunt people. And you're like, you're about to, I think the fight or flight would kick in and they'd be like, I don't care that there's food here. I'm going to keep running. And then T-Rex has to go, I'll save you. And it's just like, God, do we need this again?
That, though, was like, wow, what a spectacular moment. And yes, it was a little bit contrived for just the sake of being a spectacular movie moment. But I don't know, it felt fine to me. Like, it didn't rub me the wrong way. I was more interested in, like, how did this blocking of this thing work, where, like, because I'd seen that shot in the trailer so many times, and then I knew that moment was about to happen. So I was really paying attention to, like, how the heck are they going to line this up to make that not look false?
Close-ups.
But the way they cut and move the cameras and everything so that you end up with the T-Rex roaring with the volcano, all that, the way it's composed,
felt like fan service.
Was like done so well.
I mean, I get it. Like, I'm totally fine with spectacle movies, and honestly, like, I've said it before. I was like, Transformers 3 is the best of the Transformers, not because the story is the best, just because it has the least amount of it.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
And so like, I totally understand that. There's like the moment where the Brontosaurus is like, come back, like, on the boat, and I'm like, great imagery.
And
that's such great imagery. But it also, I'm like, how did we get to the point where the Brontosaurus there? I do too much thinking where then I start going like, wait, so is he like trying to get on the boat? Was he like, is he waving them down? Like,
yeah, no, he was trying to catch up, and for a moment like that for kids, I think, like, I don't know. I think that's a cool moment.
They picked the most wrong dinosaur in that situation because those creatures are meant to go into high levels of water. That's why their noses are on top of their head.
That's a fair point.
I like the point where he goes, he's like, boat. He's like, well.
That's a fair point.
He could have easily survived.
Yeah, it'd be like
I didn't consider
it's
that.
like a bird on a plane being like, it's going down. He's like,
Also, however,
what do I do?
However they think about like volcanoes working is not like how volcanoes work. But like so I think that's, you know, you're talking about probably having short. I think there was a lot of studio stuff. This is Universal's like big franchise.
Yes.
This is like their Star Wars, which is why, spoiler, it ends literally setting up for a sequel immediately. But to me, it felt like sometimes they had these cool moments. They had the Brontosaurus at the harbor. They have running away from the explosions, but they didn't have enough time to really figure out how to get me to those moments. So like a perfect example is the evil army guy.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo
Bill.
How cool was that?
Buffalo Bill was like,
pull your teeth.
but he was like, they were like, we really want this guy to get his from the Indoraptor.
Yeah.
Like, I'm totally on board. Except the way they did it was
so rushed.
People come screaming out, and then he goes, I'm going to see what's going on. And he goes in, he's like, I'm going to go into this cage and lock myself in with this thing and try and pull its tooth out.
Well, he almost locks himself
in. And then it also does the whole moment where the Indoraptor goes like,
that was tongue-in-cheek. The audience laughed. Did they laugh in
we
your
had a guy
theater
behind
at
us
that point?
who laughed at
Everyone laughed.
everything.
No.
But he laughed at everything. So like even dramatic moments he laughed. So I don't know what his opinion. I don't know. He may have ended up telling people he hated it, but that's how they did it.
Whoa!
That makes
that's
sense.
awesome.
Oh, I didn't see it. What
And a
was
roller
it?
We're watching
coaster.
a behind the scenes of they built a tiny little roller coaster for the.
I wondered how they did that.
I will say this. My
for the
biggest
sphere thing.
Oh, they had the geosphere outside.
Yeah, I
my
want to
biggest-
write on that.
My biggest problem with the movie definitely is the cartoony characters, like the very one-dimensional side of it, and the lack of imagination that they have. I feel like they've exhausted the creative things they can do with the franchise. The practical effects and those things, I think the team that worked on the movie did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
We're watching a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I was unaware of how much of that stuff was practical.
Oh, yeah.
And they like the puppetry and the stuff that they did looks amazing.
It looks stellar. I would also say the direction, like in terms of cinematography,
Oh,
there's not a
yes.
single wasted shot in the whole film.
Beautiful
Like,
cinematography.
and a lot of it is if like you've ever worked on something. Like a movie or like you know how complex it is to tie things together, like thinking about the editor and you're like, this shot's gonna pick up where the last shot ended. So there were a lot of sequences where it would like have some guy get thrown, it
Yes.
would cut, the guy
The motion.
the guy would crash through a chair
Yeah.
and then it would sweep up to
Right.
Chris Pratt doing something else.
Yes.
That's genuinely very hard to do, especially when every single shot has a purpose, which I really, really liked about it. But yeah, man, there's also like
I just
James Cromwell. How did you feel about James Cromwell going like, number one, the main bad guy, his plan was to get rich.
Yes.
But
Except he was already rich.
He was in
Not really. He's managing wealth. He wasn't personally wealthy.
But he'd had no way to get him selling the dinosaurs that he used this other person's organization to sell doesn't mean that he's rich now. He was just making dead James Cromwell even richer.
Well, who knows? Because if his intentions all along may have been to know, look, James Cromwell is going to die soon, whether naturally or not naturally. Well, if he was aware of that, he knew, I'm going to assume more control over this money. That means he's going to be able to do whatever other underhanded things to probably siphon off some of that for himself. He knew where the whole thing was going and wanted to manipulate. The silliest thing to me about James Cromwell was that he was always holding that book that, you know, you would thought, well, he would probably be over that by now. Like, he'd just have that on the shelf. He wouldn't be like, look. But also, he's facing death. So it's like, hey, maybe he's really nostalgic for his life.
It was
like,
implied that the book wasn't always with him, but maybe he knows now that the book, because he's approaching the end of his days and he's trying to think back on all the mistakes he's made. I think they set that up. I have a bigger problem with when he figures out what the guy's doing and he says, hand me the phone so you can call the police.
No, what he said was, "You've been a very bad boy.
Yeah.
Please pick up that phone on top of that very large, dense pillow."
Yeah, and he's like, now call them.
It's next to the gun and the cyanide.
I loved it. I thought it was like, you know, I don't know. I thought it was fine. It was like,
I just like when the guy comes in and he goes, oh no, James Cromwell's dead.
Yeah.
Where you say it has like feathers in his
And bruises around his neck. Natural causes.
You're fired, maid.
There's just moments like that where I'm like, oh. And then, I mean, not to get too into it, you were okay with the end. Like, what would you have done? Would you have let the dinosaurs die?
no, I thought that was nice how they handled that, and I'll tell you why it was really nice. Because you wanted the dinosaurs to live. This, more than any other movie, was really like the first chapter of a two-chapter thing, it felt like the same way, you know. I think if they would have called this Fallen Kingdom Volume 1, that would have alleviated actually some of the criticism that probably people have about this, just because they were going in expecting it to be like a fully, you know, where it really does feel like this is a chapter.
Some studio head came in and was like, you better set this up for the next one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But, sorry, what was the question? How did I feel about...
How did you feel about...
Oh,
I was just asking you, like...
I loved it because look what they
cataclysmic
did.
ending.
This new character, this girl, here's some major spoilers. The young little girl that we are introduced to mainly in the second half of the film for the most part, she's the one that does this because she's going to have major implications in this next chapter.
Because she's half dinosaur.
Because she's very possibly that she has some of Blue's DNA in her. Okay, so we don't know what other abilities she might develop or have.
What?
Instincts or what.
I think that's entirely possible. I think they
it's
could go in that
very
direction.
likely, right? There is a line that
But
Dr.
we have
Wu...
we have complete human genome. Like,
Right.
They don't need a-
I
no,
would-
but they
I'm saying-
said the Dr. Wu had a line in there that said when you use the DNA for the thing you have down there, and also I don't have the exact line obviously, and also the other thing. He makes like a reference to two things in the sort of like.
So it would have been completely stupid, but they had an opportunity that they missed out on, where they showed the scenery there were the Indoraptors coming in on her,
Yeah.
and they kept hinting at like, we need a mother. She needs a mother. Blah blah
Yes.
blah. And they kept saying it's blue. It's blue.
Well, yes,
There
but
there was
why?
a missed opportunity, and believe me, I think this would be totally stupid, but it probably would have better payoff. Where they go, we can try the prototype, and they go, no, we can't do that. And there's like, what is it leading to? And then you realize the Indoraptor follows the girl's orders. And then the girl could have rode away on its back or something.
I mean,
Not just that, but earlier it was really neat how they did that. I mean, it was subtle, like when the Indoraptor is attacking them in that like life-size diorama, and he gets sort of pinned in, and he's about to kill Bryce Dallas Howard. Essentially, he has his claw in her, and the little girl gets out, and she screams like this high-pitched scream, running away, and out of nowhere the dinosaur pulls away. The first time I saw it, I didn't realize that moment, and then I realized like, wait, because you're like, why did he suddenly not kill Bryce Dallas Howard? He was so, aware of that pitch. There was something familiar
No, yeah, I get
genetically.
that.
It was awesome. I thought the way they did that was like just subtle enough, but it was really neat. Like,
Most efficient killing machine, by the way. A fake branch prevented it from getting 3 people trapped in a small cubic space.
Yeah, that was one of the things because it was like, it was killing everyone and everything so efficiently, and then it's like, a little girl! And it just started stumbling off
But
of
maybe it
everything.
was,
and like, I
to
can't
Don's
reach
point,
it.
maybe it wasn't trying to kill her. Maybe it was responding to a mother's call.
I mean, I think it was trying to kill her.
Oh.
But
I'm just saying.
I mean,
I
There's
was
some
gonna
missed
say,
opportunity.
I raised more issue with their punctuation, because I was like, if she presses the button, fine, whatever. Me, fuck it, let the dinosaurs. I think if humanity hasn't learned yet, Jeff Goldblum's saying kill him. I say kill him. I get that. My problem was that she presses the button, and then she says like,
they're alive like me.
they're alive like me.
yes.
And I'm like,
They're clones
That's
like
a
me.
different. I think that's a different discussion. The discussion isn't whether or not dinosaurs are alive. The discussion is whether or not they're fucking dangerous.
No, yeah, but for her, she meant like,
I'm a clone, they're a
Right,
clone.
they're alive
No, I
in
get
the
that.
same way I'm alive, and so they don't deserve to be wiped out. Just like she doesn't, like, yeah, they're dangerous, but she's a kid. She's not. And the adults, I think the reason that moment was handled so well is because Bryce Dallas Howard's about to push the button, and you're thinking, look, morally, the right thing to do, sort of, is to let the dinosaurs out, even though we can't do that. We have a responsibility to the safety of society. So Bryce Dallas Howard, the adult, closes it. Then you have this girl do the thing that internally all of them sort of felt like would be the right thing to do.
Except
but
that
they
it's
couldn't, because
except
they
that
were
it-
responsible.
Again, the discussion to me isn't whether or not we should let clones live or not. It's whether or not these giant killing machines can mesh with our human society.
But this is a little girl
that's
that made
the-
the decision.
Right.
She's
I know,
not thinking of all
I
that.
know, but she should have just been like, I was scared, or like if she just said something, but her like philosophical statement of like they're alive and I'm alive too. That's the wrong theme. That's never been the theme of the movie. The theme is whether or not we should feel responsible for something, even though it could mean our own demise.
They try to do the same thing that the Apes franchise did. I'm going to go ahead and spoil the first one, Rise
Whoa.
of the Planet. Is it that the first one? Rise of the Planet of the Apes
got them all
or
mixed
Dawn
up.
of the Planet of the Apes? The naming
Yes,
conventions are all
yes,
wrong.
yeah.
Regardless,
We do. Let's wrap it up with this.
real quick, just because we're talking about the ending of the movie. The ending of Apes, I felt like was earned because the whole thing hinged around them trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's. There was something like human about that. We don't need to bring dinosaurs back. Like they're not like dinosaurs will help cure cancer or anything
I
like that.
kept
They're just
wishing
like
they would say that.
they're like dinosaurs are good in zoos. That's it. That is like and so it feels so hollow. Whereas the Apes ending was we were trying to do something good and it created our demise. What a ironic twist of fate. This one, we brought back killing machines and they started killing us. Who could have saw it?
No. But look, they're not killing machines. These animals are doing what they naturally do, and what
I don't disagree.
The difficult part would be like we genetically engineered and brought this tiger that was extinct, whatever, this certain species of tiger to life. And yes, it's going to naturally kill a human if it's in the same room with it, but we've brought it to life. Now, do we have a responsibility? Do we have the right to kill it? Do we have the right to choose, to be God, which has always been the theme from the very, very beginning? Do we have the right to play God?
I think the
They
island
say
was
no every time.
I think the island was letting nature decide.
Well, that's why Jeff
I was like,
Goldblum-
let it blow up
that's
on the
why
island.
Jeff Goldblum's argument was great. He
It's
was
just,
right.
Well, it's annoying that it's 5 films in, and they keep asking the question, is this morally right? And everyone's like, no. At the end of the first movie, they made it very clear, no. And then they even did it in Lost World, like, well, what if we bring it to San Diego? No, stop it. Third one, let's go back. No. Like, what if we, okay, the park works now. It's great. No, it doesn't, nothing
But
works.
that's the thing, Adam. You can't you can't get the whole world to agree on a moral issue like that. That's why you have the pro-life problem.
I just want to say one last thing, and then there was a moment where the dinosaur veterinarian who had never seen a dinosaur before, check those credentials by the way. They tried to justify why this character had never seen a dinosaur despite being a dinosaur veterinarian. And
Well,
she's
in
like, what am I
real
going to
life.
spend? What am I going to spend my whole life savings to go? That's not fair because there is a Margaritaville there. And Margaritavilles don't show up in places where people have to spend their life savings to go.
True.
That's my only plot hole. That's my only major plot
That's
hole.
true. I'll accept that.
All right. Well, I know that we could talk about this for hours about all of the things that are great about this movie because I didn't really get to speak on any of the things I loved about this phenomenal film.
Margaritaville, we talked
Sorry, I
about it.
filibustered.
Oh no. But we gotta go. Thank you for
Look
watching.
at that shot was amazing.
It's great. Yeah, that was a really good shot.
And it spun around and went upside down, and it looked like, oh man.
Not disagreeing.
But thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.
I think the core of it is, and this may be me overthinking everything, but horror movies are fascinating based on where they draw their horror from, and that requires an amount of empathy from the audience. Something like Jurassic World, a big scary monster is going to eat you. That's like some caveman stuff. Everyone is afraid of that on some level. Heredity is about like stress and guilt